What's up, family? Welcome back to the M.A.D.E Project. I'm your host, DB, and I'm bringing on my good friend, my brother from another mother, Kevin Atkins. Kevin is an all-around family man, real estate agent, owner, and team captain of UReality Group. In his spare time, you can catch him baking up a batches of wonderful cookies for his customers as an owner of Kevin Cookies. Today, Kevin is going to help me dismantle society's false sense of masculinity because so many men are being crushed under societal demands to be tough, deny any kind of vulnerability, sensitivity, or any internal hurt and pain. It's time to change that narrative. So, listen, y'all, it's going to be a great show with so many things you are going to want to pay attention to. But first, really quickly, if you are a man who knows that you have the potential to do great things, but just not sure how to get from where you are to where you want to be, trapped in mental and emotional bondage, crushed under self limiting beliefs and behaviors, it's time to stop struggling with the stress, anxiety, and fear and head over to www.linkedin.com/in/dbmpowers and send me a message as we book your free no pitch clarity call so you can learn about me and my team and if and how we can help you master your emotions, maximize your full potential, and get different outcomes in every area of life in the next 60 days. All right, so my man Kevin, what's up, brother? How you doing? Welcome to the show.
What up? What up? Thanks for having me, bro.
Oh man, glad I can kind of finally catch up with you, man, and get you on this thing, man. How's everything
Yeah.
going with you, brother?
Oh man, it's going good. Everybody in good health, and things are progressing. When we first hit that COVID, it slowed down a lot of things, but we kept pressing through that, and now we back where we want to be and getting beyond those obstacles. So everything
Yeah,
is
man.
good. Good to be here this morning.
Oh man, that's great to hear, brother. That COVID wasn't no joke, man. And it still isn't a joke. So glad to hear that you and the
Yeah.
family are doing well, man. So look, brother, I want to hop right into this thing, man. I want to talk about, man, your childhood and things like that. So as a boy, when you were growing up, man, who and what was your example of a man?
Hmm. I had a lot of good examples of a man, and my dad, my uncles,
Yeah,
my grandfather. I had a lot of coaches. So as a young boy, I would say my dad. I stuck close to him, and he taught me a lot how to work with my hands and just how to be useful, resourceful.
got you, man. Got you. So, as a boy, what did being a man mean to you? What did that represent for you?
It was more so providing for your family
Yeah,
and that was pretty much it. My dad showed me how to work and how to provide for my family and how to, raise a family.
right, right.
So and how to be a good friend,
How to be a good
you
friend.
know, help how to help people out. I seen him help people from the goodness of his heart. And, he built bridges in places that, some people are reluctant to go. So,
That's
growing up, I played football in the county, Holland Springs Little League when they was
right,
the Steelers, and I played AU basketball out in the West End. We used to
right,
practice up in Rockville, out like near Goochland,
right,
and we would be playing with like senators, lawyers, and doctors' children and stuff like that. So I leave football and go to basketball and be jumping on trampolines and stuff. Shit was things that we didn't have in our backyard,
yeah, I get it.
pools and
I
stuff
get it.
like that. We had to go to the apartments to get in the pool and stuff like that. So
I definitely get it, man. So, talk a little bit about what made you the man you are today, man. What went into making you the Kevin Atkins you are now versus what you were when you were younger?
I would say, when I was young, I had a pic. I idolized my dad.
Yeah,
I idolized, my uncles, and I thought that was the life,
yeah,
and which it is the life. It's an aspect of life.
right,
But I've always had a very analytical mind and a very progressive mind in the
right,
sense of I always wanted to take it farther than what I could see.
right,
So what makes me the man today is my thought process. I'm
right,
always thinking about ways to push the culture forward, to push my family forward, to push myself beyond where I am and be that generational, transcender, or, generational barrier breaker.
Yeah.
So, I was the kid that would be watching the NFL bloopers,
Right.
and I didn't see anything funny about it. I was trying to find me a way to, get some skills off that, because, football wasn't known at the time or whatever. And I had it on the VHS cassette.
Right. Right.
So
Right.
I watched it joint about 100 times, go outside, and I was a perfectionist.
Right. Right.
I'd try to practice and sharpen my skills and stuff like that. And then I had older cousins, like my cousin Tony, who my Uncle Ricky used to come by and play one-on-one basketball with me. So I had a
Right.
lot of men in my life that would come and spend that intimate time with me one-on-one, and just, be physical with me, push me to be better than what I was. And part of it gave me toughness, but, at the same time, I also realized that that wasn't completely who I wanted to be. So
Absolutely.
I did get wrapped up into living life, for some years, of how I felt like others wanted me to live,
Mm,
making decisions based off of what I think, people would want me to do, or taking advice from people, and
yeah.
not necessarily listening to my heart and my mind.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
So, I also had a stubbornness to actually, either listen or not listen. It
Right.
was
Right.
100%, how we were growing up.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're daggone know the right thing to do,
Yeah.
but, we'll flirt with that line a little bit in terms of just being men, being growing up and being adults. We
Right.
never brought any trouble home, but at the same time, were we out there just making the best decisions? Nah, but we had good enough people around us that, help us understand, like, man, you got to be responsible out here.
Yeah. How did those that time in your life when you were living for others and weren't really living for what you wanted? How did that impact you going forward in your life? Like what was just challenges with that?
I would say you never know people's intentions and people's motivation.
Yeah.
So then I realized that, I was never satisfied with the life that I was living, because it wasn't necessarily true to who I was.
Yeah.
It was more so of what I saw, my experience, and my environment.
Yeah.
So, I felt like I had to be some, and as I'm becoming that, it was something that I didn't want to be.
Yeah.
So, it was a turning point. I was at a crossroads where I just looked at myself in the mirror and I said, look, you're going to live on your own terms.
Yeah.
And right then and there, I just started making decisions for myself unapologetically.
Mm,
Not to say, I was disrespectful and, you know, how I lived. I still am a very respectful person, but when it comes to making decisions for me, I leave that up to myself
yeah.
and not, people around me. I still take advice. A wise man does seek counsel. So I
Right.
do take advice and I do listen, but the end all be all, I know I got to live with the decision and the choices that I make. So I always want to make sure that I'm able to sleep at night and I'm happy with who I am. And that's regardless of if I have it all, if I don't have it all, if I'm going through whatever, I can live with myself.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I get that, man. So I want to talk to you. You said your dad, showed you a lot of strength and, about helping people, taking care of people, and just, doing the work and things like that. When it comes to your emotions and emotions, how was that handled in your household when you was coming up?
I ain't really see my dad be emotional,
Yeah.
so I ain't never really understood that until later on in life when I was emotional and I
Right.
had to reach back. I was looking for him, and you know, he only did what his dad did for him.
Yeah.
We had conversations. He'll pull up on me. We'll ride to the grocery store, and we'll have a nice conversation that will answer a lot of questions for me and give me some clarity. But
Right.
at the same time, he always been an advocate for, being an individual. Man, you got to make up in your mind.
Yeah.
I take you back, right? When I was my second year in Little League, I was probably like 8 or 9 years old. And I had played on this team, and I took winning serious,
Yeah.
and I hated to lose.
Right.
So I was finally in a position where I was playing the position that I wanted to play. And we was at practice one day, and the team was they was joking around. So the coach made us run. So, like usual, I finished first.
Yeah.
And he said, well, you keep running until the rest of the team finish running. So I look back and I see all of these guys joking and playing, just having a good old time. And it was like we had a playoff game.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, like, I was just upset because the whole season, we didn't expect to be good.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we was winning, and we was in a position where we were going to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
And I quit the team.
Mm.
So my dad, being the man that he is and wanting me to be my own man, he didn't decide that for me. If I went back to the team or if I quit the team.
Right. Right.
He asked me what was going on, and I told him, and he said, well, what you want to do?
Mm.
That's all he ever ended the conversation with, is what you want to do.
What you want to do? Yeah.
Because what you want to do matters.
Right.
So those be the only emotional things that I saw from him, in terms of him and my mom. He would hug her and kiss her and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I rarely would hear him call her baby, and
Yeah.
say I love you and things like that. Just be intimate and
Yeah.
sensual.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I didn't get that
Right.
aspect of it. And but I did get the gentleman
Mm-hmm.
and the man's man.
Yeah. I got you, man. That makes sense. So let me ask you now, man, like what's harder for you now, man? Is it identifying what you feel, processing through what you feel, or expressing what you feel?
I would say, processing what
Yeah.
I feel and expressing what I feel, because those were the things that I didn't see.
Right.
And I'm the type of person that if I can see it one time, I remember it for life.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, when I didn't see those things as I grew older, all of these emotions was happening, and I could identify the emotions. Yeah, I'm mad, I'm sad, I'm discouraged, I'm depressed, or
Right.
you know, I'm feeling let down, or I'm feeling motivated. I could identify all of that stuff, but then processing it to be able to utilize it or express it to get some type of progress.
Yeah.
Like, I've had trouble with that, so I spend this part of my life in um, just working on that area of my life, being more expressive and being able to process these emotions without being completely emotional about it.
Right.
So not letting the emotions get the best of me,
Yeah.
being able to see it, identify it, and then work around it. Sort
Yeah.
of like when, a down block or
Right. Right.
pull coming through.
Right. 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 So for people who don't know, we were both football players. Now, Kevin played football at a very high level at the great Marshall University, who just celebrated the 50th-year anniversary of the plane crash. You want to talk a little bit about that? But so when you hear us talking, we always refer things back or relate things back to football terminology because that's what we understand. And being that you
Yeah.
played at a high level, one, what was it like being at Marshall in that culture as far as being, a black man from the inner city versus what you're seeing in that rural area in West Virginia?
It was cool but uncomfortable at the same time. So
Yeah.
I would say it was comfortable. I was comfortable because I was a football player, and
Yeah.
it was a football town.
Yeah.
So, the things that happened up there could only go so far.
Right. Right.
And it was uncomfortable because I had never been around that many white people before.
Right. Right.
And this was a different type of white person than the ones that we grew up with in Richmond, Virginia.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, it was just, different. I had some situations where I was coming out of the Walmart, and, I was raised that if you ain't buying nothing, don't put your hands on nothing.
Yeah.
So I had a cop pull me over, and, I never touched anything. I just pushed the basket through the Walmart. The
Yeah.
other person I was with was shopping. and he pulled us when I walked out the door and said, can I search you? We got you on camera for stealing. And I was just like, you got to show me the tape because I
Right.
ain't touched nothing.
Right.
And, I had a situation where I was in the Burger King and they cut the lights off on me after I ordered at the speaker. And I pull up to the window and I'm knocking on the window like, man, I just ordered. And next thing 8 police officers rushed the car, guns drawn and everything, giving us all types of um, contradicting directions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it could have been a situation where it would have been like police, brutality or something like that. And it was
Right.
one black cop out of the 8.
Yeah.
And luckily he saw me next week and he was like, man, I got to tell you, you handled that situation very well. And I looked at him like, man, how else I'm supposed to handle it? Like,
Yeah.
I got 8 guns at me.
Yeah.
And, got people that's looking for a reason to shoot.
Yeah.
But, they didn't shoot. And, it was all good. So but for the most part, it was a culture shock for me. And, but I had a good time though. You came up there and visited and then, we had some good times and never really feared for my life.
Right. Talk about, being that you play football at such a high level, we talk about it's forced into masculinity. What are some of the traps that you fall into as a football player playing at such a high level and getting caught up in that force into masculinity?
Oh, you get a ego
Yeah.
and you start to be more than what you really are in your mind.
Yeah.
And not only that, like you get unfocused in terms of undisciplined
Right.
about your own plans and stuff. So, I used to want to be an architect and engineer.
Yeah.
And, football took me to places that I couldn't go ordinarily. My
Right.
parents wasn't going to pay for school.
Right.
And I wasn't dreaming of going to college to play football.
Right.
It just happened. And, long story short, my senior year, I had to go back and take 9th and 10th grade classes just to be eligible to get an opportunity to go.
Right.
So,
Right.
one of the reasons I went to Marshall because the coach told me that I could do that and I wouldn't have to go to prep school or JUCO and stuff. So when I did that and got the grades up, it came back around. I ended up signing with Marshall because they had gave me that advice and stuff like that. So you get an ego. So then I started feeling like, I had put some work in, so I had to work to get to where I was. It wasn't handed to me. But at the same time, I was on billboards and stuff like that at the end of my career. And I actually had to put the work in to get there. And, you just start feeling yourself.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
the worst enemy you can have is your ego,
Yeah. Yeah.
in terms of just growth. It kind of hinders your growth.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need an ego to progress, to be ambitious and stuff. You got to be able to be confident and see it.
Right.
But sometimes it just, it doesn't get you anywhere. So that was my issue. It's just I grew an ego and I felt like, I had arrived. Where if you look at the greats and people who actually go far, they never in their mind feel like I've arrived until it's over.
Yeah.
And then the smoke clears. And that's what happened. I felt like I had arrived. I stopped putting that extra work in, getting that extra rep out. I started settling for doing my 3 sets of 25 and no more. Didn't run no extra. I was just doing enough to get by. And then I actually was arrogant, where I felt like, oh man, I don't need this. And in some cases I didn't need it, but that was in my mind. When I look back at that film, I really did need that.
Right. They say all the time, the film don't lie.
Yeah, definitely. So, it just one of those things where you just unfocused and you don't strive for the best.
Yeah. I get it, man. Now that you're older, man, how has your definition of a man changed over the years of what a man really is?
My definition today would be an open-ended answer,
Mm,
and that's for the evolution of a man.
got
So
you.
I take the definition of a man, and I form the meat of it,
Yeah,
and I also leave room to improve. So
got
I never arrive at the great man that I desire to be. So I'm always striving to be better,
got you.
and that's not easy given the bad habits that we have and the foundation that we inherit in terms of environment and
Right.
you know examples and stuff like that. Now my dad and my uncles, they all are great men, the coaches that been in our lives and stuff, but they were also flawed men,
Yeah,
meaning that they deal with the same set of issues that we deal with.
yeah,
And that's the thing I think that I would change now is I would, tell my son, like, man, look, you're a great man today,
yeah,
but there's always room to be greater. So don't never sit down and feel like, man, this is it.
yeah.
Because it's never it. And you're gonna have a kid that's looking up to you and that you want to be an example to. And you want to teach them and you want to show them everything that you feel like you didn't have, or just everything so that they can be sharper.
Mm,
It's
mm,
not about what I didn't have that made me. It's more so about what I desire
yeah,
that makes me.
yeah, yeah. That's critical, man. That's powerful. So, let me ask you this, man. When it comes to stress and challenges in your life now, what are some ways that you deal with it and manage those type of things?
Part of me want to be the old me, where
Yeah,
I shut down and I internalize it and it beats me up
yeah,
instead of me beating everybody else up.
yeah, right,
And I just want to find balance with that.
yeah,
So, you know, a, a consciousness of being in the moment and
mm,
making that decision in the moment to say, hey, let me just try this. Let me do this.
yeah,
And right then and there in that moment. And just to get that different experience
yeah, yeah.
and to have that in your DNA. So that's one way. And then, I meditate,
Okay.
I write. So, things that I feel like I can't say, I say it to paper. I write
Right,
it down
right.
and then I read it back and I see where my head at or where my heart at.
Yeah,
And that's what comes out of me. So, says for out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh, for something like that.
yeah, yeah,
And I believe that, that goes with your music. So, I try to put things in my atmosphere that helps me deal with things. And I also sought counseling,
wow.
So
Okay.
I got a counselor and I talk to him and we talk about things and he give me a list of things to do. I might do some, I might not do
Right,
some. So
right.
I guess I'm still fighting with the old me because I was doing that stuff for so long. I was running that program for so long. It's hard to break that habit.
Absolutely.
That's my first instinct, is to go back to that kid that want to just clam up
Yeah,
and feel like, "Man, I got to get through this. Nobody understand me, or, I'm not being heard, or, those things." And then, sometimes, good and well, I call you and
yeah.
I talk to you
Right, right,
and,
right, right.
we chop it up and just refocusing.
Yeah, yeah,
So you definitely got to have some accountability where you got some people that are going to hold you to yourself, who you are, your identity, and they're going to keep you true to that. And
yeah,
so, good thing about it is, like, a lot of my friends are progressive men. Like,
yeah,
we ain't knocking the people who came before shit, and we use them as, you know, I would say, guides to go even further,
right.
understanding that, we got to put a light down that road as well.
Yeah,
So, that's how I deal with it, just by surrounding myself with good people, outlets, I really never like to exercise and work out and stuff like that. So like I don't necessarily go to the gym
Right,
and I
right.
might do push-up and sit-up. I'm on the Herschel Walker plan, but
Yeah,
but
right,
I ain't about to go and be no bodybuilder and stuff like
right,
that.
right,
That just never was in me. But yeah, it's therapeutic when you do actually lift the weights and you do, move stuff around. And I still play sports from time to time, but I got
right.
to be careful with that as well. So
Yeah, getting older now. Yeah,
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 definitely.
getting
I
older
ain't
now.
trying to wait till I'm 40 to tear ACL or,
Yeah,
you know,
don't
I don't
bounce
want to
back the
go to,
same way. Yeah,
yeah, I
you take
don't
a
want to go
fall
through
now,
none of
man.
that.
Your body don't respond the same way, man.
Hey,
Yeah,
man,
I get it,
you
man.
right.
I get it, man.
So
Let me ask you this, man. What are some of the things that bring you joy? What are some of the things you do to bring you joy? That bring you joy?
family,
Yeah,
just being around family and laughing and seeing people doing good, or
yeah,
just being around people that really know you
yeah, yeah,
versus people that's getting to know you, you
yeah,
know.
yeah.
And I I like I still like sports. So I watch a lot of sports, and
Right.
that brings me joy seeing people compete. Real estate,
Yeah, yeah,
real estate brings me a lot of joy because it reminds me of the game,
yeah,
and I can relate both and put it in the language that I understand.
yeah.
So I'm able to break down this game like I did this game,
Right, right,
and
right.
you know understanding what I wanted to do back then, I'm able to do that now because, now I want to be better and I want to improve. So real
Absolutely.
estate, being creative, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
I grew up thinking I couldn't draw, but drawing is just your ability to focus on an object.
yeah,
And so I draw a little bit, I got canvases where I draw a little bit and just come up with creative ideas, and my kids bring me joy of seeing them and how they approach life. That helps me out a lot.
yeah.
And fishing, I love to fish.
Right, right, right.
Yeah, I like to fish, and I like to barbecue, cook. So I love to cook. I'll get in the kitchen and go in the zone, and
Right.
throw some music on, or complete silence. Silence bring me joy too.
Right.
So
Wow,
if
that's
you can
powerful.
quiet,
Yeah,
yeah, if you can
yeah,
quiet your mind
yeah.
from running, and just the constant conversations that we have in our heads
Mm-hmm.
that create what's outside of us is, important as well. So like, sometimes I just like to go into a closet and just relax and get away from the noise.
Yeah, man.
And it could be complete darkness, but in that room it just feels like it's lit up for me, and I can see and feel the space even though I'm in a constricted space. So
Yeah, man.
I like to go my imagination, using that brings me joy. And then I got a new hobby here as well. So I did some landscaping like a couple years back,
Okay.
and I found these Japanese maple trees. So I've been growing trees from seeds.
Wow.
So I like viewing nature in motion and stuff like that. So what I do is every November around this time, actually next week, what I'll do is I'll go to my different spots, and the seeds on these trees that I like will be dropping the seeds on the ground.
Okay.
Most people gonna sweep them up and put them in a bag and throw them away. What I do is I get a freezer bag and I collect them, bring them home, put them in the refrigerator, and let them sit in there until like February. Then I germinate them and then plant them.
Wow.
And
That's dope.
these trees right here, 3 to 5 years, they like anywhere from $150 to $1,500.
Okay. Okay.
So, very unique trees. Like I got a couple that I'm reading up on how to do bonsai trees.
Okay. Yeah.
So, make bonsai trees. So I like to read and stuff, things that I did not like to do back then. It brings me joy. It's
Yeah.
very stimulating.
Yeah. And that's great, man. That's very important, man, to find that joy. Last question, man, and just want to ask you, man, like, what kind of legacy are you leaving in this world, brother?
You know, I often think about that,
Yeah.
and being 37 today and having, dreams of what I want to do in the future, and then knowing that the future is not promised.
Yeah.
I want to leave a legacy of love, of community, of
Yeah.
unity,
Yeah.
and togetherness.
Yeah.
So things that I do, it's like on purpose. I go out there on purpose and do things for people that wouldn't expect it,
Right.
and things that would naturally go against the grain in the society's mind
Right.
of what you should do and what you shouldn't do. So, that's what I want to do, is leave a legacy of community and freedom, freedom of expression. And that's where I got into real estate and helping people create economic freedom through real estate, and showing my kids that, being an entrepreneur produces freedom, but it's hard work. And the joy of it is you have control over what you can do in terms of working in your life and stuff like that. And then just showing love to people. Like, a lot of people out here, looking for love and just lacking love
Yeah.
because, they so stuck in how they were raised and what that shaped them to be. And so, we look at others and we feel like, I don't want to be that person, or, I want to go directly and judge that person. Where I look at
Yeah.
people and I see myself, you know,
Yeah.
and that helps me deal with the world because I view them as I see me. So if I'm looking at this homeless guy, I look at me being homeless, and what would I do? Now, I don't help them all the time,
Right.
so I help them as much as I can, but not to my own demise.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. You
don't
show.
let it,
Yeah.
yeah, don't let it take control of my heart. But
Right.
it does touch me, and I do pray, that things are better. So, in this world today with a lot of stuff going on, and growing up, that's another thing. I grew up around diversity.
Yeah.
I grew up around the police department and, you know, business owners and, lifetime workers and non-workers,
Yeah.
hustlers. Like, grew up around all of that. So
Yeah.
I was able to see all of these people as, myself, because, if you paint the picture, I'm somewhere in there with them. So
Right.
that doesn't make me greater or lesser. It just makes me a part of it.
Got
So,
you. Man.
the legacy I want to leave is that we all one, and we all should be striving to make this place a better place for each other. Make sure that everybody having a good experience. We come from the garage where, we all had something to contribute
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
distinctly different from the other person.
Right. Right.
But the ability to share and to actually care beyond yourself and your needs is what made that special for us.
Absolutely.
And that's what makes it, a lasting memory, and a joyful memory, is the fact that we came together and we created experiences for others that they'll remember for a lifetime.
Absolutely, man. And that's wonderful, brother. Listen, man, I appreciate you coming through, man, and opening up and talking about where you are, some of the things you've been through, and where you're at today, man. I love you like a brother, man.
Yeah, no doubt.
Appreciate this, brother. This is great. Listen, man, enjoy the rest of your day, man. We're gonna catch up soon, brother. But I appreciate you coming through the Made Man Project, man, and dropping some knowledge on us today, my man.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully, we check back in down the road and do it again just to see the growth, because it's an evolution of a man, not the
Absolutely.
definition of a man for me. But yeah, I
Absolutely.
appreciate you having me, and I appreciate you doing what you're doing. DB empowers, and you really are out here helping men tear down these false sense of masculinity and self-limiting beliefs, and actually make waves out here as a man. And that's what we need in our community. Our Black community is just to take away all of the illusion
Yes, sir.
and get down to the reality. So, keep doing what you're doing. And, I appreciate you, brother. I love you as well. And
Yes, sir.
wish you more and more success.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you, brother.